Hello and welcome to Curtain Call. On today's program, we're attending opening night of Fanny and Faggot, followed by Stacy, both written by Jack Thorne, creator of Channel 4's Shameless and Skins. Fanny and Faggot examines the true life of Mary Bell, her trial when accused of murdering two young boys in 1968, and her escape from an open prison in 1977, where she spent the weekend on the run in Blackpool. Using documentation from the court case, as well as imagined events of her escape, we witness Mary's journey to the brink of horror, as well as her tentative steps back to normal life.
You wearing a bra?
No.
When'd you have that off?
It's mine.
When'd you have that?
Mum said didn't look right without.
Can I see it?
No.
Well, let us.
No.
We are friends, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are friends, aren't we?
I had heard of Mary Bell when I first auditioned, and I knew that there was something. It was something to do with a murder, but I didn't know, you know, the sort of details. And then obviously I researched it, and I thought it's going to be really tough. It's going to be really hard, but it's actually really interesting.
You said that while Norma was killing Brian, she made a screaming noise.
She did.
Did you think she was mad?
I thought she'd gone out of her mind.
You told the court that you said to Norma after Brian was dead, "I should tell the police, but I'm not going to." Is that right?
Yeah.
Why did you say that to Norma?
Because I wasn't going to tell the police, but Norma thought I was. Oh, if I tell the police May done it, she said to herself, I'll be on the better side of them. That's what she thought.
I don't understand. Will you say that again?
I wasn't going to tell the police, but Norma says, oh, she thinks to herself, oh, if I tell the police May done it, I'll be on the better side of them and May'll get all the backwash. That's what she thought.
It's a difficult character to shake off, actually, because particularly that it's about children. You know, it's about sort of murder of two small children, and I have nieces and nephews, and and also the life that Mary had. It was very troubled. She was badly abused, and although they aren't excuses for what she did, you know, you can understand maybe how she became the person that she became. Because it's real, it's difficult to kind of shake off, because you're always aware that this actually happened. This has affected people's lives ongoing. There are still people that are affected by what she did. She still has anonymity because she has a daughter of, I think, about 20 or 21. So nobody really knows. We know she's married and she has a sort of young daughter, but she doesn't, you know, she doesn't live under the name Mary Bell. She has a new identity, and so we don't know. She could be anywhere.
Stacy is a one-man play starring Ralph Little as Rob. In a world of unwritten rules, Rob finds life a little confusing. Surely, after a while, just good friends develops into something more.
We'd met for lunch, me and Stacy. Well, I'd met her at her offices. I sort of knew what time she was on a lunch break, and so I just waited outside until she appeared. She just smiled sadly when she saw me. She'd left the house this morning before Shona woke me, you see, so we hadn't said anything since the rhythm. Anyway, first thing she says when she sees me, "We need to talk." Which is funny, because I'd come to see her. She hadn't come to see me. But that's the thing about Stacy. She likes to make the first move, even when she hasn't. She likes to be on the front foot. So I said, yeah, and she said, okay then, and took me for lunch and bought me a baked potato. And then she looked me deep in the eyes and she said, "You're my best friend, Rob. My absolute best. I don't have anyone like you. I feel better when you're around. You're genuinely the most important person in my life." Stacey's one of those people who's very uncomfortable with sincerity, so she overdoes it because she doesn't actually know what it means. Anyway, we are best friends. We've been friends since we were kids. When my mum was being a bit shit, and I don't mean, not that shit, but just a bit thoughtless or whatever, I'd go round to Stacey's. She'd be round at mine as often, probably. "You're my best friend too," I said, and then started eating my baked potato with tuna because I was trying to be relaxed. But then I looked up again, my mouth full, and she was plainly ready to leave. And I realised what she'd meant to say was, "You're just my best friend, Rob, nothing more, and sleeping with you was not a good idea." But she hadn't said that. All she'd said was, "You're my best friend." For a one-man show, you have to, I mean, for a start, first and foremost, it has to be incredibly well written and incredibly sharply written, and it is. I mean, It's fantastic because Jack Thorne writes in a way that even though it's all there on the page, it's challenging. It's not easy. But I mean that in a complimentary way. I don't mean that it's bad writing. It's brilliantly written, but in the way that you have to really kind of get into it and work it out and allow yourself in character to work it out for the audience to then go with you. It's not one of these things where it's just easy and you're being all friendly and chatting to the audience. So it was a real challenge, and it's always great to push yourself out of your comfort zone. So it's incredibly sharply written, and then once you take that on board, then you have to just try and remember all the time to be as engaging as possible. And what's nice for me is that I'm very aware in this character and in this show, I'm very aware of the audience, so I can direct things specifically to a certain person, and specific lines I can direct to somebody over there or somebody over there, and that brings people in as well. Nothing puts you off tuna more than being dumped by last night's lover. I mean, the aftertaste sort of gets mixed in with the tuna taste, and as a little bit of sick-up came into my throat, I realised all the things I should have said, which is how come I ended up outside a house with a speech prepared about Bruce Willis. During the play, I mean, there's something happens that he's actually given this position of power, and he almost becomes intoxicated with the idea of living in the moment. He's a guy that never lives in the moment because he's always too busy over-analysing what might happen. So he's somebody that can never really commit to something that's happening there and then. And when he finally does in the play, after 26 years of not doing, he can't almost control what's happening, and just gets completely carried away and completely lost in this moment, and ends up making, as you say, a horrendously bad decision. I half expect Jason to say something as I walk to my desk, but he doesn't. He's monitoring a call, probably Shirley's. They're all on calls. Tom looks surprised to see me, but winks. Debbie waves in a very flirty way. That was also a new thing. She'd been talking to me and sending me stuff all week, and yesterday she'd been acting really weird, although I'd left at lunchtime. And Shirley looks at Debbie, as she does, and everything seems normal. I plug in my headset before I turn my computer on. You're supposed to have the computer up and running, but they pay you from the moment you plug the headset in. So everybody does that first, and then just bullshits any call they get, writing down the caller's BAN number, sort of a reference number, and the exact details of the problem, which is all stuff we'd normally do anyway, while the computer loads, and then explaining some boring protocol while we type everything in. Or Vodafone Connect customer services, and this is the first time I've spoken, and the puss is still there, and it's mixed with the Weetabix. Do I give you, what is this, a BAN number? An old person, my favourites. The problems are always easy, which is probably a parable for something far wider. They're great to deal with in the morning because they don't mind time passing. Sometimes they're even grateful for it. And when the problem's solved, they think you're a genius. And sometimes they even write in, which means brownie points. Sometimes I even suggest they write in. Tom hates them. He likes serious problems. Shirley and Debbie both like men. I like old people. We should transfer calls between ourselves, divide the labour. I think that the audience may very well be shocked by the content of the play, the stuff that my character says, the stuff that happens, and even some of the images that they're confronted with, whether they be mental images or actual physical images or images that are projected onto the screen. But I think if anything, that should encourage people to come, and sort of, there's nothing wrong with going and being shocked and being challenged. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to feel when my mum comes and watches it, and probably will sit right about there, right in the middle of the front row, and look disapproving. But she's done that for 27 years, so that's okay. I'll just live with it.
Both productions run until October 27th at the Trafalgar Studios in Whitehall, just off Trafalgar Square. The nearest tube is Charing Cross on the Northern Line and Embankment on the Bakerloo Line. To book your tickets, visit the website at itshappening.biz. Join me next time when we'll be taking another look at what's happening in the world of UK theatre. I'm Kitty Ryan, and you've been watching Curtain Call.